Hi, it's Jessica here, your favorite East Tennessee realtor, and I specialize in Sevier County, and I've worked with my share of land buyers, and I wanted to get on here today and just talk about 5 things that you need to consider when purchasing raw land. And when I'm speaking of raw land, I mean it does not have a permanent dwelling on it. It could have a barn, or it could have a like a storage shed or something, but it does not have a permanent dwelling on it. Okay? So the first thing that you need to consider when buying raw land is, what do you want to use the property for? Okay, do you want to build a primary residence? Do you want to subdivide? Do you want to raise chickens? Are you going to operate a business on the property? What are you wanting to do? Because for one, you need to check the restrictions on the property. Now, I always tell all my clients, look at the restrictions. I think restrictions have such a bad rap that they're going to be so tight and you're not going to be able to do anything. And that is not always the case. Sometimes the restrictions are very light and you can still do what you want with the property. Now, after you do that, if you're looking to do anything besides a primary, I would check with zoning as well. For example, if you're trying to operate a business, I would make sure that the zoning will allow you to do that. Now, I had a client that I worked with, and he has a manufacturing business that he wants to start, and we were under contract for a property, and it was zoned industrial, and we thought everything was good. But unfortunately, when he went to the zoning and planning commission, they told him his particular plan would not work for that particular property, I should say. So we had to find another property that would accommodate his goals. So if you have any other questions about that, always go to the zoning. And you can always call the courthouse and they can give you information. Just make sure the property is suitable for what you would like to do with it. So number 2, is sewer available, or do you have to install a septic? Now, if sewer is available, you can call your local utility company and they can talk to you about the process of connecting it, and they can give you a cost. Sometimes it's right at the road, sometimes it's a little bit down from the road, maybe a neighbor, but they could help you with the process of that easy. If you have to install a septic system, the first step is checking to see if the property has ever had a perk test. A percolation test assesses the suitability to install a septic system. And how that works is a soil scientist will come to the property and they will test how the property drains with the soil, and they will determine the absorption rate for the property. The perk test results will tell you how many bedrooms that particular property will allow when you go to build your home. Number 3, what is your water source? Now, you could have utility water, and that is very similar to sewer. You're going to call your local utility company, and they're going to be able to tell you the connection fee and go through the process. So it's very similar to the sewer. Another option is digging a well. Now, living in East Tennessee, a lot of the cabins that we have in like the Smoky Mountains, they're a little more remote and on side of the mountain. I mean, that's how we get our spectacular views. So if you find out that you'll have to dig a well for your water source, first step is calling a local drilling company and talking it over with them. They can discuss other projects that they did in the area. And they can tell you like kind of where the water table is, or at least give you a range where the water table is. But they cannot give you an exact cost to build the well because it's going to depend on your particular property. Now, another option is a spring. Now, the only thing about that is the spring already has to be on the property. So that makes that source a little more limited. Now you will need to test the quality of the water and install a system to pump it in your house. But that is another option if a spring is on your property. Now, do you need a survey for the property? Well, a survey is the best way to determine your property lines. It is the king of kings when you're looking at your property boundary lines. Now, you can look at the tax records to get a rough idea. I use OnX. It's a app designed for hunters, so they can kind of know the property lines. And I do that when I walk property with my clients to get them an idea. However, I always tell them, if they want to know their boundary lines, a survey is the best. I mean, there's no question, it's the best. Now, some lenders will require you to get a survey. I've worked with several clients and they were buying a portion of land that was subdivided from a huge farm. And because of that, the lender require them to get their portion of the property surveyed off. Now, one thing to remember about surveys is sometimes it's a lengthy process because surveyors are sometimes booked out months and months and months in advance. So I would suggest if you are purchasing a property and you need a survey, get on the books with a surveyor as soon as possible. Because I know some people, they've had to wait 3 months. I know some people have had to wait 6 months just to get a survey. Now, number 5, okay? What are you going to have to do to build on it? Okay, are you going to have to clear trees? Is it completely wooded? Do you have to clear some trees? Number 2, do construction vehicles have anywhere to park? Is there a driveway? Those are all things that you have to consider because you're going to have to do that before you start building. Okay. Another thing to consider is how is the change in terrain and elevation, because that's going to be a huge factor when you go to build your property. Now in East Tennessee, nothing is flat really. We have some rolling hills and then we have some others that are like this, but they have great views. That's why we love them. But all of that is going to factor in on your building process. So I hope this was helpful. I know it's a lot of information, but if you are looking to purchase raw land, I think it'll be very helpful. So thank you for watching.